everybody. Welcome, everybody. Behind the Devil's Curtain, episode 9. Come on in, folks. We have a good one tonight. Tonight, I present to you, Holy Hoax. Was the Big J a real dude? Oh my, it's a lot of stuff gonna happen tonight. Come on in, everybody. I got a big group in here tonight. So, if you can hear me, let me know if it's sounding good, looking good. The other thing, quickly, if the camera cuts out, the feed drops, who knows what's going on. If that happens, give it a minute. I'll restart the whole thing. And if it's no good, we'll go to Instagram, Cardone Magic. And if you don't follow there, go check that out. I post all sorts of stuff. Folks, we got a great group in here. Tonight, I'm going to have a giveaway. Yes, I am. If you're new... Ooh, all right, this is going to be fun, Dallas. You're going to love it tonight. If you are new, hit the subscribe button, hit the notify bell. If you don't hit the notify bell, it doesn't mean anything. Not kidding. They have some weird algorithms now. The other thing is, we're going to have a contest, a giveaway. It's not really a contest. It's a giveaway, and it's going to be by chance. And it's going to be the people in the chat room tonight. So, if you would like to enter the contest, you need to be here now at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. No more entries. So here's what it is. If you'd like to enter the contest, right now, I need your name. Your names pop up in the chat. Just put in the chat 666. In honor of me hitting 666 subscribers, that's a mouthful, I'm going to do a giveaway. And let me show you what it is. Now, I'm going to be drawing the name at the end of the episode, so you got to stick around for the whole thing. I am going to give away a super duper rare... Oh, first of all, we're going to do... Hold on a second. Let me move a few things around. I am going to give away... Oh, here we go. Rick Sherman, Jason, Eric. Go ahead, right? Yes. So, I'm going to be using a dice once we figure out what the contest is. But I'm going to give away a really rare Toilet Boy item tonight. This is a 7-inch picture disc of Go to Hell. One of my favorite Toilet Boy songs re-recorded. And it's got a B-side. The A-side to this is sick. And, wait till you see this. I only have a few of these left. So, whoever wins... You are going to get, depending on what size you are, either black or blue, you are going to be getting one of my milk can t-shirts. Look at this. A claustrophobic hell. A watery grave awaits. This might be the world's only milk can t-shirt. It might be. And I have only a few left. So, I have an extra large in black... And then a few other sizes in blue. It looks cool in blue, but I think I basically have one large and a bunch of smalls. I love it in blue. So, if you would like to enter the drawing, enter 666 in the chat. And I see lots of people. All right. Now, God, I have so many notes tonight. I'm going to be quite honest. This episode is such a vast subject, I almost thought about breaking it up into some, whatchamacallit. Who used to play in Albany back in the day? Toilet Boys? Yep. Toilet Boys play, I remember playing Albany. Many years ago. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, check this out. This is a lot of stuff today. So first of all, I'm going to cut out, and we're going to get going quick, okay? This is an interactive show. Behind the Devil's Curtain is my favorite one of the shows I do because of the subject. And I got to say, this is one of the subjects I've been studying for a very long time. The problem is there's too much info. It's endless. So I want to say right now, I am not a theologian. I'm not a professional theologian. I am not, I don't have a degree in medieval history or archaic history, any of that stuff. I am a philosophical, historical, and theological hobbyist, if you will. I have my own thoughts and theories, but I claim no expertise on this. I'm merely learning and sharing. And I learn from you, and hopefully you learn a few bits from me. If you have a counterpoint tonight, now tonight's on a serious subject. We're talking about the Big J, Jesus. Somebody, in my opinion, a mythological character that a lot of people hold is a very important part of their lives. So if, oh look, we got a bunch of people in here. Great. If you have a counterpoint, or I say something and there's tell us, put it in the chat. This is a debate, a discussion. It's a learning experience. If I am on the wrong path of something, point me in the right path. That's all it is. I am a believer that religion and philosophy are fair game for attack and ridicule, and debate, discussion, and dissection. That's my belief. Yeah, William, me too. And I do always put up my little warning. This is my little warning. And yes, you all know that. We don't need to go there. That's the warning. What else before we get into this one? Oh, I'm drinking my fake beer, the dark one. All Out. Wait. It's the Athletic Brewing Company, which is a weird name for a beer company. It's called All Out. And this is damn good. It's dark. It tastes like chocolate. I will be sipping this tonight. It creates yawning. If you see me yawn, it's not because I'm sleepy. It's because the hops and the barley does something to me. Delicious. Yes. Get a drink. Sit back, folks. Relax. Oh, shit. I just poured water in my beer. Let me drink it quick. I picked up the wrong can. I have seltzer water over there. It's okay. I'll just add more dark beer. Yeah, Dallas. Pop open a beer. I got Peter, Aaron, Helen, Jason, Talon, Lazarus. I mean, it goes on and on and on. If you're getting in here now, someone's got mushroom tea. Killer. If you're getting in here now, write 666 in the chat, and you will be eligible for the contest. But you got to stay to the end. 666, and you might win a cool prize. I'm also going to throw in vintage Toilet Boy stickers. We made these when we made our second full-length record that's self-titled. Let me see if I can get it to focus. It's a foil sticker, so it's hard to see. And if you win, I'm going to throw in a few of these. I have a few left. I love giving this Toilet Boy stuff away. I mean, it's old school rock stuff now. What else before I start? Oh, Steven Smith's in here with his 666. Yeah, and if you know anybody jumping in or might be in the chat, let them know. I'll give a warning in 4 minutes of it being the last. Oh, Fallon's in there. Cool. All right, we got a lot. Yeah, you're going to win a killer shirt, whoever it is. What else? Oh, if I have the energy and the time, I am going to include a couple more Gospel of Judas notes. I did the show on Wednesday. That was a fun show. That was a new subject for me. The Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Thomas are new subjects for me. They're considered Gnostic stories. They're not included. Amanda, what's up? If you want to enter the contest, Amanda, put 666 in the chat box. Today we will be giving away a prize. Oh, there's one right there. Helen. The Gospel of Judas is seriously, and the Gospel of Thomas, which is another one I'm reading now, it's Gnostic Christianity. It's a different version of Christianity. And if I have time, I'm going to give you some notes that I lost during the show. I mean, I have so many of these notes now that sometimes when I'm organizing them, one page will get shuffled. And I try not to do that. All right, we're going to get started here. Corey, there we go. Uh, Actually, we're going to start in 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, one other little thing. If anybody follows my playing cards, no, that's not that. Where is it here? Here we go. The satanic playing cards, right? They're getting made right now. And here's one of the new ones being designed as we speak. I believe this is the Jack of Clubs, a.k.a. Baal, B-A-A-L, Baal the Demon. My interpretation and Stuart Palm, the artist's interpretation. Work in progress. We're working on these. Right now, he just finished one of the queens. There's another queen. Oh, there's Amanda. Well, Dallas, you can watch the Gnostic text episode. Yeah, it's on the Gospel of Judas. Let me think here if I got it all before I really get into this. Yeah. Tonight, my main source, one of my main sources, is from a man named Dr. Richard Carrier. I'm a big fan. I like him. He is, he got his doctorate from Columbia University in medieval history, or ancient history. And he did his doctorate thesis on the historicity of Jesus. And he cracked open a couple new things when he did it that I never paid attention to. Yeah, so I'm going to be using a lot of him. If you ever want to look up the subject of the historicity of Jesus, you have to be careful. Because, I didn't see that, William. I'll check it out. It sounds funny. There's a lot of misinformation from the mythicists. It's unsourced stuff. So, for instance, what's that movie Zeitgeist that was out there? Where they cite, like, all the deities that Christianity stole from. Well, the funny part about that is they did borrow a lot of stuff, which was what I'm going to be talking about today. But a lot of the ones they put in that are wrong. And I love watching the mythicists tear the other mythicists apart. It's quite funny. I'm also going to be using a Dr. I don't know if he has his doctorate. I think he does. Bart Arum. Bart Arum is an atheist who believes Jesus was a real guy. And Robert Price is another guy I like a lot. I've used a lot of their stuff. I have read a lot of their works. I've watched a billion of their lectures and debates. Watching them debate religious guys is pretty interesting. But I gotta say, the one that's really cool is watching the mythicist atheist debate the atheist who believes in the historical Jesus. Those are really good because they really get into translation, semantics, and a lot of what forgeries are found, which we're going to talk about. Lots about forgeries. So guess what, folks? We're going to start right now. I'm going to give it last call. If you're in here right now watching and you want to win an awesome prize, write in the chat box. This is it. Last call. 666. If you write 666 in at the end of the episode, I'm going to be rolling dice. And we're going to find a winner, and I don't care where you are, what corner of the globe, I will mail you a picture disc, 7-inch, Toilet Boy, super rare. That's Miss Guy. I still remember taking all of these pictures. And also, you will win either a black or a blue claustrophobic hell. A watery grave awaits. My milk can commemorative shirts that I sell when I do the milk can escape. No plan on doing it again, although I will eventually. It's not easy. I'll do an episode on that one day. All right, folks. Holy Hoax. Was the Big J a real dude or not? Let's get into this. I am very excited. I'm going to try to read the texts. The chat. If you have questions, ask. If I said something that doesn't make sense, ask. If I said something that you have a counterpoint on, put it in the chat. To anybody watching, and we have a really good group. My people that come in here all the time and watch this show are very thoughtful, smart, educated people. And Yes, Zeitgeist is got a lot of bad info. That's one of the ones that a lot of people use. Do not watch that, because if you do have to debate somebody, you'll be using bad info that the apologists have already nuanced and gone again. Like, they figured out where it's wrong. Okay, here we go. What's the Jesus story? Well, he was a guy born to a virgin, prophesized by the ancient Jewish books to be the next savior to come and save the world. He shows up. He gets a bunch of people. He teaches them these great things. He's a healer, an exorcist. He does magical things. And he eventually, the prophecy is he's the final blood sacrifice to end this so-called curse on original sin, the Adam and Eve curse, so that humanity can be saved. And no more sacrificing animals. Don't need to. God is going to sacrifice his own son. And he died. They buried him. The tomb's empty. And he rises from the dead 3 days later. And he goes to heaven. I mean, we all know the story. At least everybody in here. That was the story in a nutshell. That if you ask me when I was a little kid, the reason why they killed him was the Romans saw him as a political threat. And they crucified him on the cross. Right? We all know these stories. It's part of our Western culture. I mean, Christianity is part of Western culture at this point. So, let's chat. So let's just see here. What are the possibilities? So either A, that really happened. He was a deity incarnate, an avatar in flesh, living on earth amongst mortals. Or he was just a guy who did heal the sick and do some miracles, but he was just basically a regular guy. Actually, he could be a regular guy that didn't do any miracles. He could also be a regular guy who was a faith healer. Or he didn't exist at all. Maybe there were a few other guys that did things, and their stories got brought together into this one Jesus guy. So let's talk about it. The Christian cult, we're going to call it a cult for now, even though I still think it's a cult. Hey, what's up here? Yes, Horus is not a good one. Horus is a terrible example. That's one of the ones. Don't even mention Horus. Osiris, yes. Horus, no. Okay. The cult of Christianity. It was a cult because it was a small group. We don't call them cults once they're large, even though they're cults. It started at about 30 AD. This thing that we call Christianity. Somewhere in there. The first documents that we have are the Epistles of Paul. And out of those Epistles of Paul, 7 of them, the historians think he wrote. 2 or 3 of them, I think, are literally, they pretty much sure, it's the consensus is they're forgeries. They're not real. They were added later. There's a lot of these things. They're called interpolations. And the new historians on this, there's a lot. I just watched an atheist debate it with a Christian, and the Christian got trounced on. Because the Christian guy didn't know all the new stuff that was coming out. So, this guy, Paul, is the earliest account. He had visions of all of these accounts. And, yeah, he had visions, right? We'll get into the details of it. Now, 40 years after this so-called account, the Gospels show up. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So we got the epistles, right? This guy Paul literally is alive during the time of Jesus. And then over here, 40 years later-ish, we get what we call the Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Everybody knows these, right? And the difference between the two is Paul doesn't go into the biography details of barely anything. It's more of overwhelming themes in the mythological realm parts, like the whole dying and rising and all that stuff. Not the actual nitty gritty. And like his bio. It's not like a Jesus biography. Yeah, well, wait, Fallon. Wait till you see some of the new stuff I've discovered. You're going to love it. So, everything else after then, we have Josephus, the historian. It's like 115 AD. They refer to the Gospels. Let's talk about epistles for a second. So in those epistles, I almost said epistles. In the epistles, this is where this is interesting. The epistles of Paul. When you hear this, tell me what your thoughts are. He only speaks of a celestial being and revealed gospel. Paul's message is the gospel is known through revelation, not by hanging out in Galilee listening to the guy. Why is this? Okay? Stop and process that for a second, okay? Now, okay. Hold on one second here. Mainstream. Okay. So, stop and think about this. During Jesus' time, there's this guy, and Paul, let me go to the Paul pages now. These are the Paul pages. He was close to Jesus in time. He was alive during this supposed time. And he really, even though we say he was a disciple, he wasn't. He was a fanboy. He didn't really know these guys. He said he did, but he didn't. He imagined himself an apostle. Now, Jesus said, don't change the law. Right? Paul said it's okay to. He was like, yeah, if we're going to have it for the Gentiles, then it's okay. You don't have to do all of these things. You can, you don't have to follow how many commandments did the Jewish people have? I know, Rick Sherman, do you know? How many? Not 10. There's like 689 commandments. There's something crazy. So Paul's like, forget about it, right? The Last Supper was a vision, not from a witness. And he uses in the epistles a word, the archons of Eon. Why would he call it archons of Eon? That's the same terminology that the Gnostics would have used, because that's how they describe that other thing that I was talking about on Wednesday. Yes, Paul was actually going after Christians for a while, supposedly. In Paul's letters, he persecuted the Christians, and then it said that he met Peter, and there's all of this stuff where it's all visions. If you read it really close, you will see that he is not actually talking to real sources. That's weird. He said he knew James's brother, James's brother. I'm sorry, James, Jesus's brother. The word brother's also been contested on how it's used. Paul never mentions the baptism, the Jesus in Galilee or Judea. He never mentions him being an exorcist, a preacher. It's kind of baffling of a guy alive at the time not knowing. All right. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I want to talk about the three main points that bring together the Jesus myth theory. And that is this. And this is Richard Carrier's Easy 3. Everybody can understand this. It's so easy. Here it is. Number one, the early texts only depict Jesus as a revelatory being. He is a celestial being that if you tap into it, you get these revelations. And through this mysterious communion, and after you're baptized in his whatever, then you have access to the good stuff and can, go to heaven. Okay? That's number one. Early texts only depict Jesus as a revelatory being. Number two, The Gospels are the only primary source for placing Jesus in earth history. That's where it's like they literally plop him into historical story timelines. Okay? And here's the crazy part. The Gospels, even though there's 4 of them, there's only one source. Mark. Mark is the original one, and we can spend an hour on how they know that. They know. They're pretty darn sure. Because the other ones are copies of that and embellished upon. And some of them mention things that would have happened later. And so, the other thing is, it's one source from these Gospels. It's kind of like when you see the news now, a lot of people think that a news item might be real because everybody's reporting on it. But if you look at it, it might be from one source, just copied and pasted. A lot of people don't know that. And here we go. Number 3, those Gospels are mythical in their construction. Okay, so that's it right there. 3. Number 1, early texts depict the big J as a revelatory being. Number 2, the Gospels are the only source for placing Jesus in earth history. It's one source. And number 3, the Gospels are mythical in construction. Now, you could say, I'm going to be honest. I'm coming from an atheistic, agnostic point of view. And I want to quickly go over that. You guys that watch this know what that means. Atheist meaning I do not believe in a deity controlling everything. Gnostic meaning knowledge, agnostic meaning without knowledge. So if you ask me, do you believe in God? No. If you ask me, is there a God? My answer is, I don't know. How would I know that? If you ask me, do you believe there's a God? My answer is no. Okay? That's the point of view I'm coming from. So I view all of these religions, Islam, Christianity. So first of all, Islam and Christianity are just sects of Judaism. People don't like to say it that way, but it's very true. They're all based on blood magic. That's what it is. If you read the Old Testament, there's blood magic happening. So let's go over these. This is really fascinating. So look at that. The early texts really do. They're all revelatory. There's, according to, if you'd ask Richard Carey if he thinks Jesus is a myth, he would say there's a 1/3 chance he's not. Now, it could be easy. You could just say, yeah, he was some crazy faith healer running around doing what all the other crazy faith healers were doing at the time. Because if you read the Gospels from a magician point of view, it's kind of weird because he does some magic tricks. He also does exorcisms, classic style. He talks to possessed people. He makes food appear. He makes liquids appear. He walks on water. He does things that sound a lot like magic tricks that other faith healers were doing. Let's see here. Jesus is seen. He's met in a Revelations. 1 Corinthians 15. You only know him through Revelation. Romans 10. No Jewish people heard him preach. Okay. Now, the thing here. Oh yeah, I have it written down here. The Horus comparison is bad. So the early Christians, they were salvation mystery cults. Mystery because, well, hold on. It's, all right, here we go. Now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this. This is where it gets a little interesting. Jesus means Savior. From the same zip code. I love it, Fallon. Yeah, the Abrahamic faiths are all from the same zip code. Oh, wow. Fallon, you just gave me chills. For those of you listening and not reading, I'm going to read Fallon's quote. Fallon wrote, "Yep, all the Abrahamic faiths are from the same zip code. My fear is they are all consolidated into one." Yes. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the second part of this. let's get into the Osiris-y stuff. Oh, wow. Okay, well, hold on. My notes got jumbled here. Oh, yeah. 1 generation after the religion began. No Gospels, no memories of early Jesus. There's just the epistle letters. There's no mention of the ministries, the miracles, the disciples, the witnesses of his life. 1 Corinthians 15, Paul says, no one saw Jesus until after he died. That's what Paul says. And he cites scripture for info. It says, Romans 16, Gospels learned through revelation. That's where it says. If you look up Romans 16, you learn the gospel through revelation, not from listening to the preacher. He learned nothing from the disciples. All right, hold on here. All right. Now here's we're going to get to some. I have this page called Strange Facts, and I stuck it in between a couple other things here because it's such a headache of how many notes I have here. So if we have, let's talk about Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels. So Matthew, in that Mark is the first one. And if you read Mark, he doesn't do many miracles, and it ends with the tomb being empty. It doesn't end with him coming back. It's kind of a weird ending, if you ask me. I mean, it's a cliffhanger ending. It's like, and it's empty. Where did he go? Right? A Christian will say, well, because you needed the other guy to finish the story. I mean, they have answers for all of this, but it's a little weird that the main story leaves out that key point. And then they know that Matthew used Mark. It's a copy, and some of it's an exact copy, and then there's added detail. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about 1 Peter and 2 Peter now. They're pretty sure that 1 Peter and 2 Peter are different authors. They're really sure. They're really sure that 2 Peter is a forgery because it's written not only it's one of the arguments the Christian guy goes is he goes, well, if you write your wife a letter and you write your best friend a letter, isn't it going to be different? And one of the atheist guys was like, no, it's not. Luke was the best one, says Luke. That's a good one. So they're sure it's a forgery. It's like it's a different writing style. And in 2 Peter, this is where it gets interesting. The one that's forged has an account of meeting Jesus on earth. Okay, it's funny that the forged one is the one that starts to like bring him down to planet Earth. What this is called when you have a celestial being and you bring him down to Earth and make him a real guy, it's called ephemerized. He's a ephemerized deity. You've taken this deity and you've made him a reality via a story or a legend. An example that I like to use is I have a comic book of The Amazing Spider-Man that came out right after 9/11. And there's this beautiful panel. I was trying to find it. I've got so many comic books here. I couldn't find it. Oh, Aaron got you. Sorry, Aaron, if you got yelled at from Streamlabs. Sorry. I've got this filter on here. It's crazy. Imagine in the comic, it's the World Trade Center collapsed and Spider-Man standing there helpless. It's kind of a sad moment. I remember reading it. I watched 9/11 happen live through my window. So reading this comic book, it gave me goosebumps of Spider-Man being there and being helpless. It's kind of a beautiful story. Imagine we have World War III, everything's wiped out, the digital info's gone, and somebody finds a comic book. They find a costume and a comic book. And they see people running around dressed as Spider-Man, and you could say, you know, he was in history. Here he is. Here's the proof. They're writing about him. You know, they're putting him in book form. So 2 Peter, they're pretty sure. There's also in there, they're attacking another Christian sect, which is interesting. Now, okay. Now, one of the earliest persons to mention early Christianity, if not the earliest, his name is Plinly the Younger, Plyny. And they found this thing where Plinly the Younger is talking about the first Christians. He was a non-Christian, so he was commenting on them. And he said there weren't many of them. And a lot of them had quit. They were like Christians, and then they quit. And by 110 AD, there really weren't many. There was something that sparked it. Constantine, when he put together what we now know as modern Christianity, he noticed a guy named Lactantius. And he's the guy that he hired to teach his kids about Christianity. And he was a definite fundamentalist. And he believed the earth was flat. Yeah. Even though the world, a lot of people then already knew that it was round, he was still running around saying it was flat. And here's the craziest thing. Now, take into consideration. Let's talk about the Gospels. The Gospels supposedly were written 40 years after the Jesus death, the crucifixion. But the earliest copy we have of Mark is like a few hundred years later. And I said it on Wednesday. That means the earliest copy we have is a copy of 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 a copy hundreds of times. I can't say. It's endless. And every time they would copy it, they would fix it or change it, or they were half asleep. Their eyes were going bad. They were doing it by candlelight. There was a mistake, right? Here we go. Now let's talk about this. Let's get into some mythology. What's the pagan context of this? Forget Horus. The best ones to compare him to: Osiris, Inanna, Zalmoxis, Adonis, Romulus. All of those gods, they're all saviors. They're all either a son or a daughter of a big god. They all have a passion or a suffering. They all have some, you share with this God through a baptism and a communion of sorts. They all have a human history. All of those guys. And they were all kind of near where the Jewish stuff was happening. Yeah. That's kind of wild. Inanna, she's the first one. She was crucified, died, and was raised 3 days later. It's the same story. It's kind of shocking. So you have this mythology. Oh, don't forget, let's talk about Zoroastrianism too. That was another religion in the Middle East, earlier form of monotheism. You have the ancient Jewish people who were not monotheistic. They had lots of different gods and things at the time. They had blood magic. They had these paganist religions, but then they had these mystery cults popping up. And a mystery cult is a cult where you need to kind of know a little bit about something to get the real story. Now let's talk about the Jewish context of this, because that's what it is, right? It's almost like the Jewish religion started to copy the neighboring religions. That's what Christianity was going to be. It was using another role model, a different type of mythology. Atonement before sacrifice, blood magic. The Yom Kippur Principle. The Yom Kippur Principle is there are two goats. One, you put your sins in it, and he runs off a cliff and dies. The other goat, you cut its throat, and the blood in the temple creates the good stuff, right? I think you're late, Donovan. What the hell? Put Donovan in. If we see it and notice it, we'll put you on the list. Here's a funny story I found doing this. In Mark 11:13, I believe, there's a story where Jesus hates figs. Look it up. Mark 11:13. He curses a fig tree. It's pretty wild. All right, so, gosh, this is so much. Let me get one more thing of notes here that I want to really make sure I don't miss anything on. Oh yeah, Paul's Last Supper was a vision. I mean, it's really kind of blows my mind. Yeah, we did all this. We don't need this. All right, now, here's some strange facts to think about, too, as part of this whole mythology. So, pre-Christian Jews, they mention Jesus as an archangel. And the Christians taught that their Jesus was that archangel. So a lot of Christians will say, see, the prophecy came true. Well, the problem with prophecy is you can kind of make it come true. If you ask a magician like me what a prophecy is, it's a weird thing. Because if I prophesize, someone's going to graffiti the local McDonald's and then it's graffitied, does that mean I'm a psychic, or does that mean I paid someone to graffiti it? Or somebody else heard I said it and they did it anyways? You see, so you can make prophecy, you can kind of push it to where you want it. You can just fulfill it. Donovan Vert says he was the actual 666 subscriber. I love it. Killer. Oh, cool. I love it. Whenever I get a 666 subscription, I've gotten a few off of people. I've seen it and done it. I'll screenshot it and send it to them. That's cool, man. All right. Anybody ever hear of the Ascension of Isaiah that was written in 130 AD? They actually mention Belial the demon, which is one of the early mentions of him. Jesus, in that story, I'm going to say it, he was killed in space by Satan. Straight up. He doesn't even visit Earth on that one. This sounds like the Gnostic stuff. It really does. It has a Gnostic vibe to it. Now, the Gnostic thing is not its own religion. It was many things, many versions of Christianity, and we now call it this Gnostic thing. Back then, they did not call it that. Osiris. So, if you were in Egypt, and this is back to the mythology, I'm bouncing around a bit because it's such a big subject. Osiris, his story of his trials and tribulations and rebirth and all of that, there were two versions. There was the version that everybody knew, and then there was the version that the priests knew that was different. And it's a lot like the Gnostic version of Christianity. Gnosticism says everybody, including the apostles, except for Judas, believed in the story of Jesus and his father was the God of the world and he made everything. The Gnostics were like, it's actually the God of the earth is not Yahweh. It's Yaldabaoth. Okay. Yaldabaoth is the God of the earth and he's a jerk. And Jesus, his father, is the God above that. And only certain people knew that story. The rest of the people didn't. Very similar to the Osiris way of dealing with it. There was like a secret part, just like the Scientologists kind of have that too. So I was looking up now, one of the big arguments that Christians will have is they'll just debate that the things that are said are forgeries aren't. I literally watched a debate the other day where the guy presented all the fact on the forgeries, and the guy's rebuttal was he just changed the subject. That's a win in a debate. If I'm watching a debate, I'm like, well, that's a win. Because if I was the Christian guy, I'd be like, whoa, let's break it down now till the end, you know? I love this, the space Jesus discussion. So one of the big arguments is, so why didn't Paul mention all of these things, and why was Paul only talking about this death and rebirth thing over and over again, and he didn't mention any of the details of Jesus, you know? And the Christian guy's like, look, just because he didn't mention that doesn't mean it didn't happen. He felt it was common knowledge and he didn't have to mention it. Why would he bring that up? Well, true, but that's called the argument of silence. They'll say the argument of silence is it a fallacy? Well, no, it needs to be structured as an argument to probability. For instance, we're going to compare two probabilities. If certain things happen in the Jesus story, as it really happened, let's say, would there be silence on those subjects? Meaning key points to the story, right? Would they be like, I'm not going to say anything about that. Everybody knows that, right? And what is the probability of silence if it never happened? If they're the same, then yeah, it's whatever. But if the answer is yes, like, look, if Jesus really did do all of these things and his life was a miracle, there's no way he's going to leave that stuff out. He's going to be mentioning it all the time. If Jesus really had those powers and people really saw him doing those things, you would be blabbering about all the details. If I was talking about this the other day. If I had the actual magic power to go like this and to make this microphone move an inch just by using my mind, I could probably sell out arenas and do just that trick and get a standing ovation. Especially if I was the only guy in the world. I'm not kidding you. Imagine if I was scientifically proven, everybody saw I could go like this and get something to move 4 inches under super duper scientific test conditions, verified, blah, blah, everybody saw me do it. I could go into I could sell tickets and be like, folks, I'm going to show you this power that's unseen that we don't know about. And I would do it and be like, oh my God. If Jesus really did all of those things and really did have the powers that he said, and the Romans were like, that guy's a political threat. Actually, he's more than a political threat. He's like a wizard threat. They wouldn't have just caught him and killed him. No. If I'm an evil overlord and I hear that there's a guy running around literally making food appear and doing things, I'd be like, dude, I'm going to kidnap him and I'm going to make him make food for the Roman soldiers on their next campaign. I mean, I would study him. I mean, there's no way. They'd be like, he's just another kook. Because all the eyewitnesses would be like, no, dude, he literally made the leprosy go away. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, all right, bring him in. Bring him in. Yeah, they would kidnap you and you test you. They wouldn't let you get off easy. Now, that doesn't, the argument against that is, well, Jesus was God. He would never have let that happen. He wouldn't have used his powers to help the Romans. No, but they wouldn't have killed him that way. They would have definitely studied him and been like, wow, that's weird. That guy does all that stuff? Weird. So the argument of silence, I ain't buying. Let's see. Bart Aram, he's not a mythicist. He thinks Jesus was real. He's just like, look, the guy was a real dude. He was another faith healer running around doing his thing. Just like all the other, nothing special. And it's just an easy way for this all to go in. And it is easy. It really is. Him being a real guy, I mean, I have no problem with it. I don't care if he's real or not. It means nothing to me. But I do like to chew on the notion that if he really is a hoax, and to me it looks like he's a hoax, wow. Think of the bloodshed, murder, control, rape, misery, delusion, non-paying of taxes. I can go on for an hour on this one. Because of a hoax of sorts? Now, why would this come about? Who would do this? For what reason, right? Well, there's another book out there that shows, there's some other myth theories that it was literally invented by one guy. Like, he literally sat down and was like, I'm going to invent all of this right now and just scribble it down and use it as a tool. It was one idea was the Romans used it as a tool to calm down the Jewish people because they were doing campaigns against them and they were getting fiery and they were like, look, we need to calm them down. We're going to give them the Savior and he's going to be a hippie. He's going to be a peacenik. We're going to give them that Savior they keep talking about. We're going to invent him now. I've read a lot of stuff that says this is not. It's probably not that necessarily. It might have gone to that a little bit, but I don't think it's all that. No way. Pauls are the best. Yeah, people think Paul is one of the best sources for this. And after coming out of all of this research, he's probably the worst. Oh, Rasputin? Wow. We could do a whole thing on Rasputin. Have you ever seen the photographs they have of his remaining body part? Look it up. All right. There's a lot here. I wanted to mention a couple little things that I came across before I get to my thoughts, because my thoughts is a lot in here. My thoughts is the meat of this all. So, why does Jesus depicted as having a beard? Well, a lot of people at that time did wear beards. Let's get that straight. But most of the early artwork didn't have him with a beard. It had him clean shaven with a ram or a sheep around his neck. All the early drawings of Jesus or statues had it's like him with a sheep around his neck. It looks weird. It's an image of Jesus you would never see. And there was a Roman god named Hermes. Guess what his nickname was? The Ram Bearer. He had a ram around his neck. Same thing. Now, in the Roman catacomb paintings, there's 120 different ones of him with this ram around his neck. They just used what was popular at the time and blended it in. It's not unique. Now, why did he get the beard? So if you go to Greece, pre-Christian, Apollonius of Tyana. Oh, yeah. Imagine the pictures back then of statues or artwork of philosophers. They all have long hair, they all have a beard, and they all have a cloth sash, like a robe with a sash. The full beard and the long hair. Oh, here's another one. The chair in which he's sitting in. Oh, someone looked it up. Wow is right, folks. Look up Rasputin's member, and you will be shocked. So, when you have a picture of a Roman emperor, I didn't know this, and they show him sitting, look at the chair he's sitting on. It's usually flat like this. It looks like the hourglass with a flat thing on top. Very simple, nothing fancy. And they did that. There's a reason. They were trying to show him being humble. That he is in his form the greatest, and he doesn't need a fancy chair. He himself is great. Whenever you would see a fancy throne with crazy pillars and the throne, that was godlike. That's what they did. That was where you became a god. So they started using divinity. They used the throne, the beard, the long hair, the sash. That was divinity, symbolically. That doesn't mean he literally looked like that. That's symbolically what he looked like. So let's talk about this whole thing from the behind the devil's curtain point of view, which is my point of view, and a lot of you in here, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm coming from a person, I am a magician as a trade. I do magic shows for people. I'm also an occultist. I like the occult. I like the idea of ritual and metaphor and symbolism as a tool to transform myself. I'm going to read these comments. This is a meaty comment show. If you're watching this, go click on watch the comments too, if you're watching this in the future. I'm coming from a point of view where stage magic and ritual magic you can get the same results. And a charlatan faith healer, a charlatan preacher, or an exorcist, they can also get results. Just saying. So coming from a magician, shaman point of view, there being a dude running around faith healing and doing demons and all of these stories and people writing about them later, that's totally possible. I've done magic tricks where people break down in tears, I'm telling them I am a magician. I'm not going, hi, I'm a shaman and I'm going to freak you out. No. I've got my hair slicked back and a funny mustache and I'm doing card tricks. And I've had people cry, Pago. Apni kamonachin. I like doing the informal with you, Bondu. Abe kamonachos, Bondu. So coming from a shaman point of view, it's totally feasible. And I've done magic tricks to people where they cry and tell me that they haven't seen that since they saw their shaman last. So, totally possible. Is it also possible that somebody literally just wrote a hoax and sold it? From my end, my angle, my world? Yeah. Happens all the time. So both of those are totally possible. Now, one of the things I thought of recently that really kind of blew my mind is I was imagining, and this is what I really like to do. I like to imagine myself in situations and how things would play out. And I was imagining my neighbor coming to me and saying, yo, dude, my neighbor, let's say my neighbor told me this. He said, hey, I have a friend in Pennsylvania, and this is going to sound kind of far-fetched, but his brother literally can levitate. He floats like 3 feet off the floor, and he levitates. He can do it whenever he wants, and he has seen it. My neighbor said, I haven't seen it, but this dude is a legit source. Like, there's no way he would make this up. Would I believe this guy if he told me this? My answer is no. I would need a lot of evidence to believe it. If he whipped out a video and showed me, that probably wouldn't be enough either. If he showed me a documentary from Bulgaria where they flew him over and a bunch of scientists were observing him, even that might be a little, because I've seen magicians fool scientists. But if I went and met the guy and, saw it happen. Now, let's go back in time. What I just told you, I can get my iPhone out and do a bunch of research as the guy's telling me the story. Right there. I also have an experience of hearing a billion other stories. If we went back in time 2,000 years ago, I would not have heard a billion stories. I would not have been bombarded with as much media as those guys did. And I wouldn't understand science, physics, chemistry, biology, none of that. Or theology for that matter. Or philosophy, and I probably wouldn't be reading. So if I told you 2,000 years ago, my neighbor came over and said, yo, dude, my cousin Bill, who lives in the mountains, his brother, Jimmy, levitates. And I had nothing to compare it to think about, and I've heard other stories, and maybe I have seen people do it in the streets. I don't know. Would I believe him? I would have nothing to pull it against. It would just be an idea. Maybe I would be like, well, it doesn't sound real. I've never seen that before. But I definitely think I would have more of a open head about it back then, because the mysteries were a lot more mysterious than they are now. Way more mysterious. That's what's crazy. So I tried to put it in that context. The other thing is thinking about all of these documents, whether it be the Torah, the New Testament, the Quran, all of these famous holy books, the translation mistakes and all of the things going on. Now, the Quran was written in Arabic, straight up, which makes it convenient and it's easier to sell the story. I mean, it's in the language. I mean, you can get an English translation, but the New Testament's different. It's written in many languages. It's been translated. There's been mistranslations. One of them is the word for virgin. The word used to describe virgin is alma, and the historians know that does not mean sexual virgin. Just that alone is pretty wild. That's a smoking gun right there. So yes. He was. Now, here's the thing that James Randi found. So Fallon brought this up. Yeah, James Randi, who passed away this year, he was, I think, 91 or 92. Also a milk can performer. and he contacted me when I did my milk can the first time. Crazy story. James Randi was a genius in his approach to defrauding sham shamans. That's a good word. I will say this, though. Most skeptic-y magician types won't buy the fact that I can look at these guys and say, all right, yeah, they're charlatans. But I can say to them, there is a reality to it they're denying. And this is where witchcraft, black magic, psychology, if you add all that together with symbolism and metaphor, which is what I'm always saying, you can get results. You can use a technique to get someone to think in a certain way that will be beneficial or harmful to them just by symbolism and metaphor. I mean, obviously, that's what showbiz is. So I'm looking at this with an open mind. I'm trying to really take it all in and say, was this a real guy? And my personal thoughts are no, he probably wasn't. There might have been a few other dudes that got stuck together, Robin Hood style, because that's what they think kind of Robin Hood might have been, was a few different guys. They made one. But it looks to me that this is definitely, it's not there. Ooh, what's this? A dime a dozen healers could create a religion. Why did I write that? Somebody called it testimonium flimsiosis. That was, who said that? I wish I wrote down. I like that. Testimonium flimsiosis. So, I've been thinking about this subject for a very long time in my life. Ever since I was a little kid. And when I found out there were Jesus mythicists out there, of course I wanted to hear it. And pretty quickly I thought, yeah. The idea of a ephemerized God is pretty interesting. It's happened before. Why wouldn't it happen again with another religion? Why wouldn't they do it? What's the difference? It's not shocking. So using Dr. Carrier's, the 3 points that he makes, the early texts only depict him as a revelatory being, which most people don't know that. When you talk to Christians about it, they talk about it as if they were there. But then they'll bring it up like, oh yeah, Paul was hanging out with this guy and you're like, wait, most of this happened here. No one brings that up. If I told you my friend had this like new God that he was into and it's only through a revelation of sorts that he talked to him on, I'd be like, dude, something's wrong. You better go get your brain checked out. Richard Dawkins always said, he wrote an open letter to his kids. I think it's his daughter. In case he died, he's like, look, if I croak, here are the things I want you to do in this world. I think it's going to make you a better person. Question these things. Authority, tradition, and revelation. And I really think those are important. Always question authority. If you question authority in this last year, you got shamed for it. We won't go into that. But I'm one of those guys. I question everything. Everything. Even stuff that looks obvious. I question it, and I usually find the third side. I do. Always. Because in my world, there's no such thing as fact. I'm going to say it again. I don't buy fact. It could be kind of fact, but it never is the actual truth. It barely can be. All of these facts, as soon as you write something down and print it, it's a fact. Because you can go, here it is. Right? I never liked fact. I like truth, and I try to like get to the truth as close as possible, and it's a never-ending battle, which is why it's frustrating, and most people don't like to do this. Sean said, will you ever do a historicity of Siddhartha Gautama, a.k.a. the Buddha? Well, I don't think I'll ever do that because unlike Jesus only having 12 disciples, I believe Siddhartha Gautama, a.k.a. Buddha, had like 700 or 800. I think he had a horde of people following him, if I'm not wrong on that. And not only did he have a horde, they all wrote about it. So I think he was a real dude, even though he was way before. Just like Diogenes, 300 BC, he was a real guy. You know, a lot of these people, like, when you watch a Christian debate this, I literally, as a kid, I'll never forget this. I heard a Christian say to a congregation, I was at this. He said, there is more proof that Jesus is God and walked the earth than George Washington was president. And that was my first experience at what I call Christian Bad Analogy Party. They have the worst analogies I have ever heard in my entire life, and it doesn't help their case that they're using these terrible analogies. There's more evidence that Jesus is God and walked the earth than George Washington was president. And what he meant by that was there are more Bibles in print than history books that talk about George Washington. That's literally what that guy was referring to. I can't believe that's an analogy somebody would use for a teaching purpose. It's kind of shocking. If you're teaching kids that's mind child abuse. I mean, because that's bad analogies. I can't believe it. I don't know what to say to that. But anyway, my thoughts where I would like to end this tonight. I have one more thing I was going to read you. And this is my bonus bit. This is from the Gospel of Judas. Oh, also, has anybody ever seen the movie Last Temptation of Christ? I highly recommend it. It's a good movie, and it brings into some of these things in question, especially the Paul. Saul. Saul was his, I think, Jewish name. Paul became. I hate how they change their names all the time. Just call him Saul. All right. So the Gospel of Judas. So the apostles said they saw Jesus in a dream with 12 people. And they were a crowd of people at the altar. And they fasted for 2 weeks, the people at the altar. Some people were sacrificing animals, their own children, and their wives. They were sleeping with men and murdering. And Jesus said that the 12 people in that dream were them, the apostles. He's like, that's you. You're a bunch of losers. And the animals that they sacrificed, ready, were the people they led astray with their fake gospel. This is a crazy story, and this is the Gospel of Judas. And this is very fascinating. So then Judas is like, yo, I had a different dream. And Jesus laughed and said, oh, you 13th demon. He called him that. He called Judas the 13th demon. Judas said he saw himself chased and stoned. And he saw a house with great people and a crowd. And Jesus said this house isn't for mortals. And Jesus said to Judas here at this time, not in the dream, but in reality, he said, you will not go, but he is the 13th, and he will rule the 13th realm. So he's like, it's so hard to understand. He's like, Judas, you get it. You get the secret, and you're going to rule the 13th realm. Now, the 13th realm is where oh God, these names are so hard. The god of the earth, Debaoth. He's the god of the earth. That's where he is. So is that good or bad? It's hard to understand. It doesn't, because he doesn't like Debaoth, Jesus. He's like, yeah, he's kind of a jerk. So would that mean that he's like, you get to be a god like him, or you get punished by going there? There's no answer to that. And I really thought that story is kind of wild. It's a realm where angels and man don't know about. Even the angels don't know about this. The spirits that the main God created made the angels. And then the angels, they can create too. So it's like the creator made lots of creators, which is kind of what we are, right? We create things too. Debaoth, also Saklos, which means fool. Saklos means fool. Oh my gosh, I'm getting tipped in here tonight. Folks, thank you. Bada bing. All your tips go right into the show, folks. Thank you so much. Fallon, Dallas, thank you. Really, thank you so much. We're getting close to the contest, folks. Baptisms in your name. Yeah, okay, let me just jump here. Yeah, in the early church, Christians were not united. In that early version of Christianity that was like started 30 years after Jesus' death and whatever it is, they did not have a unifying belief system. There were lots of different ones, which also, to me, is a red flag for that story being real because they're drastically different right away. It would be like if L. Ron Hubbard made Scientology and in 20 years, there were way different versions of it running around. There's some offshoots of it, but nothing major. Yeah, in early Christendom, there was no agreement. Nothing's clear. It was a long time ago. The evidence is foggy. There's a couple smoking guns. Folks, I gotta say it. The Big J looks like a hoax. A hoax that went very far, gave us our dating system and a million other things for good and bad. More bad if you ask me. But maybe more good in the sense that that stuff fulfills a certain need that has to be in there. I don't follow that, but a lot of people do. We're going to do the contest in a second. Folks, I hope you're having a good time tonight because I love sharing this kind of stuff. It's fun. It's meaty. It has to do with our humanity of who we are. I think it's pretty important. I think it's crazy that people don't debate religion more publicly. Well, the problem is if you take it literally, there's a big problem. This is the problem with debating Christians. When I watch an atheist guy debating this stuff with a believer, how is this guy? He's compelled to ignore fact. Because if he doesn't, he needs to find a new system. To me, there's a conflict of interest there. So I think we should be talking about these things with our friends, our family. Talk about it. It doesn't have to be mean-spirited. A lot of people that debate this stuff are mean-spirited about it. And I don't think that helps. A lot of people think because of me and some of the things I like and the dark stuff that I really like that I might be mean-spirited about this. And I never would be. I find it fascinating. It's a type of a philosophical way of examining things. It's a philosophy with a mythology and a ritual. But then when you add the word belief in there and faith, it gets a little interesting and lopsided and in my opinion, a little dangerous. The donate page, all you got to do is there's in the description, you can just click on it, copy it, and drop it into a box. They won't give me the buttons yet until I get to 1,000. And guys, I have 666 subscribers. I am psyched. It was a lot of work to get here. I knew that was going to be a goal number. My next one's 1,000. I'm on my way. If you're new to this channel, please like, subscribe, hit the notify bell. The notify bell means a lot now. It used to not. Now it does. And if you donate, it goes in my show. It buys the equipment. I got a fancy new camera. I got a new mic, lights, the whole 9 yards. All because of my donors. Thank you. Now, in honor of the 666 subscriber, let's see here. I am going to, first I'm going to look in here and make sure I didn't miss anything because you guys are chitter-chattery and I love it. Normally I read them more, but tonight if you saw how much notes I have, whenever I'm done, I usually go through the notes and see what I missed because it's a lot. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to roll a D20. And if you're in here, I'm going to say your name. And then you are going to go to my Instagram, Cardone Magic. And if you don't do that anyways, you all should go there. Cardone Magic, Instagram. It is a supplemental channel to this. I post things for this show on there all the time. I also post a lot of magic tricks and other weird stuff. So check it out. Cardone Magic Instagram. I also have a game page called Boardgasm, and I am going to do a Boardgasm giveaway on my next one. I have some DCC Dungeon Crawl Classic modules. I have a Dungeon Crawl Classics book, an extra one I have. So I've got a D20 here. These are new. These are from Goodman Games. Let me see if I can get a focus here. These are hard to do. There we go. This is my nice D20. I'm going to move all of my stuff over here so that, let me take a sip. I talked the whole time. I didn't even drink. Oh, thank you, Corey. I do work on my Instagram. I'm like, look, if I'm posting content, it's not mindless. I want it to mean something. If someone's going to look at my page, you got to give them something to look at. I mean, why bother? I don't post pictures of my kids or my family much. It turned into more of a fun showbiz page for me where I share lots of wacky stuff. And I like going on there and looking around too. I like Instagram. Facebook, I do go on. My Facebook is so wonderful because I have my first grade teacher in there. I got my second grade teacher in there. I've got friends from kindergarten, family from all over the place, and friends from all over the world. I don't use it as much for business anymore, but we all use it as a messaging service. All right, let's click over to the hand cam. That is a Boardgasm dice tray. If anybody's ever interested in custom dice trays, I make them. I'm going to put the dice in here now so you can see what it's going to look like. And I'm going to take this, and we're going to roll it. Here we go. Let's see who wins the cool prize tonight. Ooh. But, oh, Amanda J. Amanda, you win. Now, Amanda, it's crazy because Amanda lives in New York City, and she does go to Coney Island a lot. And so the shirt that, where's the dice rolling tray? Yeah, push the merch. Amanda, you won a vinyl, stickers, and a cool t-shirt. And I'm guessing you got to let me know if you want the large one or the small one. If you want the large, I got it in black. This is actually an XL. This would be a good nighty shirt, right? And then if you actually want a shirt that you can wear that's like small, here's the small one, the blue. So congrats, Amanda. Yeah, thank you for coming and watching these shows. Thank everybody in here. Really, you guys are amazing. You support my show, and I'm humbled by it. Thank you. So I do make dice trays. I also have this. Look at this, folks. I think I'm going to have to put this up. I don't know if I'm going to auction it or I'm going to do a donate only. But I used to be Toilet Boys. This is so cool. Anybody ever heard of Lip Service clothing? I'm sure you have. Lip Service was a clothing brand. They're still around. The owner, Drew, passed away. I'm going to put this out. This is an authentic Lip Service piece of product merchandise. It actually has the tag. So Toilet Boys, we had our own product line. And this is a shirt. I don't know if this would ever fit a dude. It's pretty small. All right, Amanda, the blue one's good. Look at this Lip Service shirt. I'm going to either auction this off or put this as part of a contest. Oh, there we go. It's got meshy sleeves. It's got the toilet. It's a cool shirt, folks. Yeah, it's an actual Lip Service product. Kind of vintage. It's in perfect shape. We had Toilet Boy jeans through them and all sorts of stuff. At one time, we were sponsored by them. So every time we would be on tour, we'd stop at their warehouse in Los Angeles. And basically, they gave us a clothing. They would give us a shopping spree. They'd be like, go grab whatever you want. I'd be like, really? So, of course, I grabbed stuff for my friends too. But I would wear their jeans. But I gotta be honest. I'm a real rock and roller, and that stuff don't last. I rip right through it. That's when I started wearing like polyester stuff that's like solid, because I was one of those guys when I was in rock and roll bands on tour. I didn't change my jeans all the time. I was definitely a dirty rock and roller. Yes, I was on tour, busy. So those jeans didn't work out. But if you're just doing the fashion thing, they look great. This is beautiful if you're into just fashion. Yeah, you got to send me your address on Instagram, and I'll get it out to you. I'll put it out on Monday. Look at this shirt. I love these shirts. I might have to do another run of these at some point. Folks, what a show. I love this. I like the subject. I like the people. And this is Behind the Devil's Curtain, episode 9. My other show's up to episode 42. And next week, we got Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live right here on this channel. I'm going to be doing evening hour. And I might do a boardgasm, depends. Maybe next Friday. I'm working on it. But for evening hour, I have some crazy subjects I'm working on. My earwax episode is coming along nicely. I'm going to do... yes, I'm doing an episode on earwax and cleaning your ears. I'm not kidding. It's kind of fun. Wow, I had a good group in here tonight, folks. Thank you. I'm going to take you out with my outro. Let me just think here. Let me make sure I didn't thank you. William, Amanda, Fallon, Sean, everybody in here. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about it. And if you want to donate, there it is. Streamlabs.com/Adam Cardone. You just copy that, plop it in your browser, and whatever you can give, man. $5, $10, $20. I've had a couple people drop me the 150 and 200 mark, and it all literally goes in the show. I'm not kidding. All of it. I put it right in. I'm trying to make this good. I don't like crap. And neither do you. And that's why I like this audience. My name is Reverend Cardone. This right here tonight is Behind the Devil's Curtain, episode 9, Holy Hoax. And you have been sitting here, hanging out with me, having fun. And I thank you. I'm going to take you out with my outro. And I'll see you on Monday.